So we're back at it, guys. We're now on to season 5, episode 12, titled Remember. And the log line for this episode is Rick and the other survivors are welcomed into the Alexandria safe zone, but they worry that the community is vulnerable to the walkers. Remember when we left off in episode 11, Rick was hesitant to enter Alexandria. Frankly, he didn't want to go. And the only reason Rick decided to make that foray, make the journey towards Washington, and now the detour to Alexandria was because of Michonne. I notice a lot of The Walking Dead fans leave out that very important and very significant development between Rick and Michonne and what that says for their relationship. It's indicative. Actually, it's definitive. It's a definitive declaration of Rick's love for Michonne, because he would not do this for anyone. As Lori actually proclaimed in season 1, Rick would have none of it if anyone suggested he would do anything that he felt would endanger his family. And here he confessed to Michonne that it would take everything for him to walk through those gates, but he was going to try. And he's only trying because this is what she wants. So we're going into Alexandria and the next series of episodes with this very defining chapter to Rick and Michonne's relationship. And as I said before, an outright declaration of Rick's love for Michonne. It's been said, it's been declared in every way possible without them actually looking at each other and saying, I am in love with you. Rick said he will see, but he doesn't know if he'll take his family in. When Rick drove up to the Alexandria gates, he was in a car with Carl, Judith, and Michonne. Everyone else in his community, in his group, was in the RV, but Rick's was in that car with him. I told you Rick had claimed Michonne in the episode Claim. He had asked her to partner with him to raise Carl. I told you he knows he's in love with Michonne, but the one time Rick made an overture to spend time, just the two of them together, Michonne turned him down, not realizing what the offer was about. And Rick misinterpreting her turning him down as rejection since that moment has been not since that moment. During that time, he's very tentative around Michonne. What I saw in the episode, what's happening and what's going on, when Rick tentatively touched Michonne, that was the first time I'd seen Rick literally touch Michonne, skin to skin. He avoided touching her. As I pointed out, that was a nice callback to the first time they met in, I don't remember the title of the episode, but it was the episode where he took her into the prison and touched her on her gunshot wound, and she threatened him. She said, "Don't you ever dare touch me again." Rick did not touch Michonne again. But during that episode where he saw that she was starting to unravel, he saw that she was not okay, he reached out to her and touched her. Something I'm sure he had barred himself from doing. That's when he decided, after seeing how rattled she was, he saw that she was not okay, and he was going to do everything in his power to make sure she was okay. That's when he made that monumentous decision to go to Washington for her. So that's the backdrop as our group proceeds into Alexandria. We understand Rick is in love with Michonne. We understand that Rick has formally asked Michonne to be a family with him, but he has kept it platonic because he fears spooking her. He thinks that she does not want a romantic relationship with him, but he wants her in his life and he wants her in Carl's life. So he has tampered down his feelings, compartmentalized his feelings, now is making a step to go someplace where everything in him is screaming, don't, but he's doing it for her. And this is where we begin the episode. Rick is completely conflicted. Everything in him is saying, don't do this. You're going to put your family in danger. But his love for Michonne is at war with him here. For now, his love has won the battle because he's getting ready to walk in. But he's very conflicted. He's very paranoid. And Carol sees that and is going to feed that side of him because she too is scared and she thinks she can control the situation by controlling Rick. But in controlling Rick, she needs to distance Rick from Michonne because she sees, just like everyone else sees and knows, that Michonne has all the influence over Rick. So now that we've caught up and re-summarized where we are and what's going on with our protagonist, Rick Grimes, and where his head is at and where his heart is at, let's proceed with the episode. So they're walking up to the gate and there is Rick. He is like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. This is not good. They are so triggered. They all have PTSD and we're going to see that play out. Rick is like, we have a sniper. Don't try anything.
Then we're here.
Oh, look at that little arrogance in Rick. Deanna.
Hello. I'm Deanna Monroe.
Rick Grimes.
We're about transparency here.
Look at the dirt. His fingerprints left. Ooh, she should have put a sheet over or towel over her chair. It's going to be so dirty.
Your group is the first we've even considered taking in for a long time.
You should keep your gates closed.
Why?
Because people are dangerous now.
Because it's all about survival now. At any cost. People out there are always looking for an angle, looking to play on your weakness. They measure you by what they can take from you, by how they can use you to live. So, bringing people into a place like this now.
Are you telling me not to bring your people in? Or are you already looking after this place?
Yes, he is.
I can trust you.
Aaron doesn't know me. I've killed people. They're dead, so my family, all those people out there can be alive. So I could be alive for them.
Sounds like I'd want to be part of your family. Northern Virginia was effectively evacuated. Millions of people gone. A long time there's hardly been anyone here, living or dead, but still, we have lost people.
What do you want from us?
I want you to help us survive. But it's time to decide if you're the one who's doing the deciding.
No, Michonne is.
I was a sheriff.
Yeah. I knew it was something like that.
I'll pause right here to say, Rick told her the truth. She asked, she said, are you looking to take this place over? He thinks when he said, you've been behind this wall all this time. So he realizes that they have no idea really what the world is like, what's going out there. So that vulnerability ramped up Rick's paranoia. I see now where Rick thinks this community, they're not going to survive. You could see it turned on in Rick's head. He was like, oh my gosh, we're in trouble because these people have no clue. He already is on tender hooks. He's already looking for the angle. The angle is not that they'll come at them or overtake them or try to harm them or take from them. The angle he's seeing is that their vulnerability, their unpreparedness is going to eventually harm him and his group. And one of the other things that you're going to see, not just with Rick, but the whole group, as they try to decompress and they start experiencing PTSD, is that they're going to have a very difficult time adjusting to this new reality because they've been in survival mode for so long. There's like ready for the next shoe to drop. So you're going to see that played out. Some are going to resort to their basic instincts in that who they really were. Some of that is going to expose some of their flaws. You know, all of us have flaws, but you know, we all have a specific tendency. So you're going to see that, and I'll point those things out for each character as these things are exposed. I'm I'm doing a series on Rick and his relationships. I started with Rick and Lori. The first part of it is now up at Patreon. And as I told you before, I'm going to do a few of them before I bring them over to YouTube. First series is on Rick and Lori's relationship, and part 1 is already up on Patreon. Check that out if you would like. Rick's PTSD. We already know Rick had a psychotic break in the prison after Lori passed. So we are going to see a little of that psychosis. It also has to do with Rick resorting to a sort of protective mode. Rick resorting to his base instincts. We're going to see Rick's mind going into protection mode, which I call base mode. Base mode is the modality where the character's flaws, which they try to hide, as I said, they try to hide in polite society, is exposed. Almost all the characters broke, because there's only so much the body and the mind can endure before it goes into protective mode. And at one point or another, we've witnessed many characters push aside reality and retreat into preservation mode. That's like their base mode while they're going through their breakdown. So we're going to see that with Rick. We're going to see that with a lot of our characters as they go through their PTSD. We're going to see that with Rick, and a few of Rick's interesting flaws are going to rear their heads again. And I can't wait to get into that with you. In the Rick relationship series, I'll get into it even more in depth, but I'm going to point out some of them as we proceed through these episode reactions. Okay, let's get back to it.
They're still your guns. You can check them out whenever you go beyond the wall. But inside here, you store them for safety.
Both of them at your disposal.
Carl is in awe of the houses. I forgot he's lived out there for quite a while. The Ferris wheel on the wall. We'll come back to that another time. Running water. Look at the dirt. Oh my God. That must feel so good, Rick. Yeah, that's you. He's like, oh my gosh, look at this. Nick yourself. I know that little razor wouldn't be good enough. And there is Jessie in her flannel.
You don't even know me.
Ron and Sam.
Rick says, you don't even know me. That's his staple line. It's like, oh, lady, why are you coming on so strong? That is one of the keys to why Rick played the game he played with her, because he saw that she was an easy mark. Rick is familiar with women like Jessie because those were the type of girls, those were the type of women that he grew up with, the Loris. Women like Jessie is familiar territory with Rick. Women like Michonne, Rick has never encountered. Rick is not confident and Rick is not assertive around a woman like Michonne because he's not familiar with women like Michonne. He didn't grow up around women like Michonne, and he's not encountered women like Michonne. So he is tentative, he is intimidated, and he's careful. The only time Rick was confident around Michonne was when he first met Michonne. And he was confident because he was in aggressive mode. He wanted information out of her. He wanted to find out where Glenn and Maggie were, and she had that information. And he didn't trust her. He was attracted, bristling around her, but he hadn't identified it as that. Not in the very beginning. He was in fighting mode, aggressive mode. So he was aggressive and he was challenging and he was arrogant with it. So he was confident because he wasn't in tune with what his body was telling him, that, oh my gosh, I'm hella attracted to this woman. Now, this situation here with Jessie, I didn't see attraction. I don't see attraction from his end. One, he's surprised that this stranger has approached him and he's wary, but with her pushing, and she's being the friendly, nice girl next door neighbor, but Rick picked up immediately. He's a very good reader of people. Rick can pick up that like the woman that he's familiar with, the types he grew up with, the Lauries, she's easy to navigate. There's no mystery. Let's put it this way. She's familiar territory. You'll see he'll be very confident around this woman. He's not confident around Michonne, and not because Michonne in any way makes him feel inadequate. It's because of how he feels about her and his lack of security, because he's not able to do anything about it. And also because a woman like Michonne is unfamiliar territory to him. And it's not only because of her ethnicity, the town he came from, and, you know, the people he knew didn't look like Michonne. And Michonne was an uptown girl, you know, from the big city. Remember that Billy Joel song, Uptown Girl?
It's just a Roomba.
What?
It just got one when it started. It cleans the floor on a timer. That'll explain why it's so spotless in here.
That's basically an iteration of Rick and Michonne. Uptown girl, sophisticated, worldly, versus a small town southern guy. Rick is a country boy. But aside from that, Michonne's in a class by herself. Michonne is ridiculously intelligent, very, very smart, very confident, very independent. And as you're gonna see, doesn't play the games of a Laurie or a Jesse. I'll explain more as we get further in.
If that's okay with you, and
It's just me.
See, she's already probing. She wants to know if it's just him. She wants to know if there's a Mrs. Grimes. But as she is being very familiar with our little Ricky Doodog Grimes here, if you notice Rick's demeanor, Rick looks almost depressed. And there's a reason for that. As I tell you, Jessie is a familiar type of woman to Rick. Her presentation, coupled with other factors, where they are, the type of home they're in, is triggering Rick. Jessie is not only reminds Rick of his prior life, the type of people, the type of woman he is familiar with. Jessie reminds him very, very, very much of Laurie. And ironically, she not only presents like Laurie and is the type of woman Laurie is. So Rick is familiar with Jessie already because he knows Jessie's, because his wife was a Jessie. So not only is Jessie familiar to him in that way, but Jessie is, along with his PTSD, Jessie is doing with him the things Laurie used to do to him, for him, around him. And she's doing it in a type of place that Laurie dreamed to live in. So something is happening to Rick being in this space at this time with this very familiar type of woman that is not just a familiar type, but is behaving like his dead wife with him, doing to him what his dead wife, exactly how his dead wife would behave, and doing to him what his dead wife would do for him. Girl next door looks, check. Not shy to proclaim interest in him, check. Flannel shirt wearing, check. Cutting hair, check. In a house and neighborhood reminiscent to the times before the world ended, check. The domestic feel of it all. It's bringing everything back to Rick, and it's triggered him. He looks depressed. This is no, oh my gosh, I am so attracted to you, Jessie. Oh, she's touching my hair and I'm so in my feelings about her. This man is falling into a black hole of depression. This man has been triggered, and he's not been triggered with attraction. He's been triggered by memories and feelings of the life before.
I'm sorry.
Electricity, showers, haircuts. I never thought I'd see those again.
Haircuts were never going away.
She's so disconnected to Rick right now. What's happening with Rick? Look at him and see how flippant she is. And look how, I was going to say introspective, but that's not the right word. Rick is triggered. Rick is deeply, deeply into his feelings. He is, I wouldn't even say sharing, because it's not even to her or about her. He's grappling with what's happening. Can this be true that he's back to this normative sort of existence after what he has gone through, the trauma he's been living for the past few months? I'm doing timeline videos, so I need to catch up to here where we are. I didn't want to get ahead, so I'm going to catch up for us to put in perspective how much time has passed. But he's been through so much and striving and struggling to survive, thinking many times they're not going to make it. It's like he's in a twilight zone, and all this, what he's experiencing now, is it real? It's overwhelming. And then she, who has no clue, because they've been behind these walls, as he said to Deanna, they have no clue about what's going on out there in the real world. She presents a part of that weirdness, that is this real, this reality that he's experiencing, and then the familiarity of the past, of his life prior with Laurie, and that life that Laurie and Shane, his existence before, represent, that small town Americana existence that he lived, probably took for granted, like we all do. We think the life that we live will continue as it is. They're so disconnected. So this is not a meeting of, oh, instant attraction for Rick. None of that is going on. She likes what she sees. And like a Laurie, she's looking for a hero. And she may think she has found one. Oh, look at her brushing his hair. You see how familiar she's with him? Brushing his hair. There's an owl on her arm. Interesting.
You're welcome to sit, Daryl. I won't bite.
And his possum.
You want to be here?
No.
Boy and the baby. They deserve a room. We'll all be staying in the same house tonight.
So Daryl, Carol, and Rick casing the joint, looking around there. They don't trust it. They don't trust it. They don't trust the people. And who blames them because of what they went through? Every community they've come across has not fared well for them, except Herschel and the farm. Every other group has had an angle, and as Rick said, wants something from them. As Rick said, let's all stay in the same mansion. At least we'll have the numbers. If they come after us, they'll be together, and they can probably have a chance in defending themselves with more of them against their possible marauders. This is going to be a very interesting arc for Rick. And it's an arc that goes over so many people's heads, because what is presented on the surface is what they want for Rick, which is sad because it's just a basic projection onto Rick, and it's not looking at who Rick is and what Rick wants. So it's not really aspirational for Rick. And that happens in fandoms, and for fans of certain characters, a lot of what they desire for the character is what they desire for themselves, and they project that onto the character instead of seeing the character for who the character is. But that's just some people. Not everyone is versed in critical thinking. And many people have their preferences. But they're not Rick. I'm going to analyze the arc, the story, based on the characterizations presented, and not what I like or what I would like. I have my preference, I have my biases, but